Simplicity scales, complexity fails.
Start media buying with some of your own money.
He who has the most creative is going to win.
I see media buying as just removing bottlenecks.
Be excruciatingly data-driven.
All right. Today we're asking some of the top media buyers in the industry questions like, what are their biggest lessons on scaling? What advice would they have for people who want to become better media buyers? Even asking them what's their favorite part about what they do. There's a lot of raw wisdom in this video, and frankly, I had to twist quite a few arms to actually make this video happen because this is normally the type of stuff that you'd have to pay for. Most importantly, I do have to preface that all of these media buyers have been rigorously vetted at MediaBuyer.com. So that means they actually have a verified track record of producing results, and in other words, they actually walk the walk. This is what they live and breathe every day, and this is their zone of genius, if you will. And in this video, you're also going to hear from a diverse set of media buyers, meaning some of the media buyers are more specialized in e-commerce, or info, or coaching, or SaaS, or lead gen, or local. And then you're going to have some media buyers who are very focused on Facebook, or some of them on YouTube, or Google, TikTok. So that's done on purpose so that you can get a diverse set of perspectives. And without further ado, let's jump in. First question, what are your biggest media buying lessons and advice?
So first things first, biggest lessons and advice. Honestly, my biggest one would be just be excruciatingly data-driven, right? So in everything you do, in every decision you make, even if it's for getting clients, as a business owner, as a media buyer, just be data-driven. We tend to want to make decisions intuitively based on emotions, based on feelings. That's not the way to go, right? If you're data-driven, you're just going to be ahead of everybody. And this really connects with most high-level entrepreneurs, most high-level clients, consultants, etc.
Two of the biggest mistakes that I see within accounts nowadays is, one, not having enough creative. Not testing enough creative in the account. Those days of having one creative that's just super scalable and you could spend millions and millions of dollars on it, those days are long gone. It's he who has the most creative is going to win. It's not he who has the best creative. It's the most creative, right? So you need to have lots of creative testing at all times in an account. Once you have good creative, it's all about account structure, right? So simplified account structures will work the best. Before, there used to be a hack where you used to take one campaign, one ad set, and one ad and run it, and it used to work. It doesn't work like that no more. Machine learning has kicked in post iOS update. Machine learning, AI, trust the algorithm in Facebook. Use as many of the features that they have as you can. Advantage Plus, dynamic ads, etc.
The other thing I would say is to start media buying with some of your own money. I would highly recommend that you put together something, whether it's a lead magnet or a short course or something, for you to be able to spend your own money, because that is going to impact how you eventually media buy for clients. You need to understand what's on the line. And if it's always somebody else's money, it doesn't have the same stress level or psychological impact as you spending your own money and possibly losing your money if you don't do it the right way. So I started media buying for some of my own projects, drop shipping and Amazon and things like that, when I was just getting started. And that experience made me so much more valuable to clients later on, because I really understood the weight of what it means to spend money on ads, even though it wasn't my own.
Two pieces of advice I have for anyone that wants to get better at media buying. Number one is get stupider at marketing, smarter about business. What I mean by that is one of the biggest shifts I had in my career is when I shifted my focus away from learning the ins and outs of ad platforms and trying to understand all these little metrics and ninja hacks for improving cost per click, click-through rate, impressions, market share, all that stuff. But I shifted my focus away from the ad platforms and those ad metrics and shifted my attention to business and understanding the language of business and the basics of business. What I mean by that is stuff like profit and loss statements, how to make one, how to manage one, how to report on them, budgeting, revenue forecasting, creating, like benchmarking data from your current funnel and marketing, and then using that to actually forecast revenue, creating SMART goals to reverse engineer 12-month targets. basically, once you start understanding business and the language business owners use, you can start communicating your value in a way that's easier for business owners to understand. Because at the end of the day, if you want to attract top level clients and get better at turning your media buying skills into actual business results, it comes down to how can you grow top line revenue or increase bottom line profit.
My biggest lesson or my biggest tip for media buyers is treat every brand as if they are truly unique. You see lots of cookie cutter approaches out there and lots of people's systems or methodologies, and that stuff can definitely work. But at the end of the day, every brand is truly unique, and how an ad account performs can be significantly different to any other ad account. So I think, be really open-minded, be prepared to test and learn and iterate. And that's when you'll definitely get the best results.
Don't listen to conventional wisdom, to be honest. When everyone's doing the same thing, I typically try to figure out what everyone is not doing. And you find an edge there or alpha. Even these days, all the meta reps will recommend to do certain things, and, in a lot of ways they're right. For most brands, a lot of their tactic strategies work, but not for all brands. And so you have to really look at your brand as a unique brand and think about how you are different and how you can use Fate Meta's products to be different than your competitors. You got to be creative, not only on the ad side, but on the media buying and infrastructure side and strategy tactics side as well. That is where all the innovations at. I've had the most success by not following what everyone else is doing.
The one thing that I'd direct any media buyer to do, or any business that's running paid media, is to think about the ads as a marketer first and then as a media buyer second. So in terms of what that practically means, I see media buying as just removing bottlenecks. And so some of the time those bottlenecks are going to be in the ad account, and it's going to be that there's not good enough creative. It's going to be that there's not enough audience testing going on. It's going to be that the structure of the account is incorrect. Maybe the bid strategies are incorrect. Maybe there's no middle and bottom of funnel, or whatever it is. There's going to be some times where the bottlenecks are in the account, but there's also going to be times when the bottlenecks aren't in the account. So this is where you need to be a marketer first. Understand the whole business, understand all of the metrics, not just CTR and view rates.
All right, next question. What advice do you have for people who want to become better media buyers or who are starting from scratch?
My number one piece of advice for anybody who's wanting to get into media buying is firstly to find the best place possible for you to learn from. There's obviously a lot of free information available on YouTube, but you don't really know how good that is, if it's up to date, if it's current, or if the person teaching it is actually any good. It's very easy to fake this stuff. So what I would recommend is to find a community that's active and running right now, something like AdSkills or Academy of Advertising. I originally got my start through Academy of Advertising. So that was some of the first real how-to media buy content that I bought that was super valuable and is still part of how I run my media buying campaigns today.
What advice do I have for others who want to become media buyers? Honestly, start offering your services for free or for very, very little in the beginning. You don't have experience, but the experience is going to be your biggest asset. I just started closing bigger clients once I had spent over $1 million in Facebook and Google. So it's going to be the same for you guys. Like, once you start spending and you have more experience, it's going to be so much easier because you're going to know what to do. But in the beginning, you never know what you don't know, right? So you need to offer for very, very cheap to gain experience, right? That's something that even Alex Hormozi says as well. That's how you trade value in the beginning. And then after you have experience, obviously you can start actually asking for money, because now you have actual value to deliver in exchange for that money, right? And this is the main advice I'll give myself early on as well.
So if you're a new media buyer or you're just starting out, just practicing, then the best thing you can do is just get your hands dirty in an account. So, however that comes about, whether you pick up a new client on a low spend or start running ads to your own product or your own service, then just test. And the great thing about media buying is that you can test on a really small budget. You can set up a campaign, run some ads at $50 a day, and really start to understand how the algorithm works and what ads resonate with people.
Learn Meta Ads Blueprint. Go through that first. Learn straight from Meta how the algorithm works, how the auction works, how the delivery systems works, all the different products they have. Literally, you'll be a leg up and light years ahead of everyone. A lot of people just start running ads and don't know anything, and really they start developing very bad habits. So recommend going through Meta Ads Blueprint before you go on YouTube, before you go on Twitter. Do that. That's what I did.
The best way to learn and get better at media buying for me is really practicing. Obviously, I think knowing the fundamentals is a prerequisite. So doing courses, masterminds, always improving and learning. Actually, masterminding with other media buyers is huge as well. It's probably the top two as well in terms of advice. But then the top one, after you have all these fundamentals and you have a support network that can help you with specific questions as well, then just practice and ask very specific questions to media buyers.
And jumping right into the next one, what's your favorite part about what you do?
The favorite part of what I do is really joining or aligning this data-driven portion of the media buying work with the creative portion of the media buying work, the messaging portion, and in a way, the human portion as well. Because obviously, at the end of the day, we need to connect with people and then analyze the data to see how we can connect even better, right? So that's my favorite part because it connects the two sides of the brain.
So by far, my favorite part of media buying is working with brand owners that have set up companies or businesses that are really passionate about what they do. I'm really fortunate that I get to work with brands that are in the health food space, supplement space, nutrition space. And these are guys that are really trying to change the game and send out like a really positive message. And being able to like support that and be part of that as a media buyer is fantastic.
Favorite part of what I do is helping founders, helping brand owners who are making amazing products, building amazing communities, scale their e-com brands, change people's lives, and get rich, right? I just really enjoy helping founders, creators, people who are actually building something. I love empowering them to achieve their dreams. That's literally the best thing in the world, and I literally love what I do. That's one of my favorite parts of it. I also love the challenge. Really early brands that don't have a ton of traction, it's very, very, very hard and very challenging, and a lot of problem solving, a lot of ideation, a lot of creativity must go into it to succeed. And even these days, it takes more than just Meta, more than Google, more than TikTok. You have to know website, CRO, email, SMS. You got to have everything, copywriting. So I love the challenge. I love how good you have to be these days to make it big. So I love that. That's one of my favorite parts is how challenging it is.
Next question, what are your biggest lessons or secrets on scaling?
Simplicity scales, complexity fails. So this is something that always holds true in 99% of the accounts that I buy media for. Whenever we try to do more, so do more split tests, do more offers, more campaigns, launch more creatives, always usually makes it harder to scale. And one of the easiest things to do to scale is just cut back on the waste and always try to simplify. There's 3 clients I scaled to $1 million a month, and it's all been from the backbone of one campaign, one offer, and one funnel. That we all have our attention on that one funnel, and we know exactly when we make a change on it, exactly the business impact it made. Now, one funnel, one offer may not get you past $1 million a month, but it's just one of the first things I always do is how can we simplify? Instead of running 3 offers, how can we run one? Instead of running 10 different campaigns, how can we run one? Because at the end of the day, not only will we have more confidence in the data, what I mean by that is when you have a lot of moving parts in the business and your ad account, making a change, it's hard to actually have confidence that change you made actually resulted in the business change and the top line revenue or profit. When you have less moving pieces, not only does it give you more confidence in those changes you make, having a direct correlation to the business, but it also makes it easier to scale and manage that. So that's my 2 pieces of advice. Get stupider about marketing, smarter about business, and when all else fails, simplicity scales, complexity fails. Again, this is Mac from MacMegaris.com. Reach out if you have any questions, and hat tip to Mateo in the MediaBuyer.com community. It's one of the best communities I've ever been a part of, and definitely join it if you're not in there already. Thanks.
Scaling lessons. The main one is if you can, scale slowly, honestly, because if you scale fast, both operationally and ads-wise, things can go to mayhem very quickly. So do it slowly because it's going to make you realize the things that may break once you scale even further. So it's very important to do that. Obviously, in certain niches, it's not even possible. You just need to scale very fast because otherwise people are going to take your market share and the offer is going to fatigue, creators are going to fatigue, etc. But if you can, do it slowly because it's going to be a lot better, not only in the media buying perspective of things, but also in the business perspective of things. And also, I think that's where the top maybe 0.1% of media buyers set themselves apart. They know about business as well, not only media buying. So if you want to go from top 1% to maybe top 0.1%, then it's learning about business more than just learning about media buying, because media buying is obviously a very small portion of the business. It's still a very important one, but yet a very small one.
This goes against probably any conventional wisdom, but literally the best way to scale is just double your budgets and keep doubling them if things are working. And then if it doesn't work, then you drop it back down 50%. And that's your new baseline. And then you get it to work at that, and then you double it again, right? So really the best way to scale is you tell the algorithm, hey, you're doing a good job. Here's another doubling of the budget. You know, most people do 20%, 5%, 10% increases. This takes forever. I've scaled brands literally. I launched a brand in Australia at $0, went to 0 to 10 million in like 9 months. And you don't do that by doing 20% increases. You have to take risks. That's how you really, really take advantage of opportunities, trends, and good conversion rates. I've done this time and time again, that if conversion rate is on your side, just keep doubling, tripling your budgets, because the algorithm can handle it. The Meta Ads algorithm is the most powerful algorithm out there, and it is the best. And that is why you can do crazy stuff with the budgets.
My biggest lesson for accounts that are looking for growth and quick growth is you've got to find creative that works and resonates with people. Trying to scale before you've worked that out can be really tricky. But if you can hit the nail on the head with some killer creative that runs to a great landing page with a great offer that you know converts, like that's definitely step one. And then from there, you just need to choose your scaling method. You want to scale vertically or horizontally, but whichever method that you choose, that you need to have like a really good foundational structure in place first. And that's your creative, offer, landing page, strong conversion rate, and then the opportunities to scale are definitely there.
And for the last one here, what other tips or last pieces of advice do you have for business owners?
In terms of business owners or people who are buying at a high level, probably the single most important thing that I see people doing wrong is over optimization. And a lot of that comes because people don't understand sort of media buying theory in a way that I think makes the most sense. And so I think the most important thing you can do is think about all of your media buying as a single unit. So I tell people all the time, we don't manage campaigns, we manage an account. If you're a business owner, you don't manage accounts, you manage the business. And what I mean is a lot of people get stuck in the weeds of, you know, my Google ads are 3 ROAS and my Facebook ads are only 1.2, so I need to spend less on Facebook, when they don't realize that their business as a whole is actually at the ROAS they want, and they should just scale both of them. And I see media buyers do this with campaigns all the time. Instead of letting the account be at the target KPI, they want every single ad to be at the KPI. And what they end up doing is they end up over optimizing, and they turn off ads and ad sets and campaigns that are performing and generating conversions but are outside of KPI without realizing the entire account was within KPI. And what you ultimately just did is you actually just killed your scale, because you're cutting off the volume that you were getting from some of those more expensive sales or conversions or leads. So you want to optimize to the average at either the account level or the business level, depending on, you know, whether you're a business owner or just a media buyer. But you don't necessarily want to worry about every single element being within KPI, because it's about the average. And ultimately what you're doing is you're borrowing against some of your cheaper sales and conversions to be able to afford those more expensive conversions that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And again, that brings the average at your account or your business level into the numbers you want. So it's super important to be cautious of over optimizing and making sure that you're not managing every single element to KPI or trying to optimize for the lowest cost or the highest ROAS, because that's another way that you fall into this trap, is you end up chasing better performance instead of realizing that the business operates based off total profit cash at the end of the month, and $1 million in profit at 2.5 ROAS is way better than $10,000 profit at 5 ROAS. So there's definitely a balance to be had with setting appropriate KPIs and making sure you're not over optimizing the account.
The biggest problem that I see when business owners bring on a new media buyer is that they don't give them any sort of cadence for creative and for testing, right? So they're not saying, hey, we should be testing at least 6 pieces of creative each and every week, and we should be testing, 6 new headlines and 6 pieces of ad copy. They leave that on the media buyer, and that's probably the biggest problem, because that media buyer is going to wait on you to get him new creative. He's going to wait on you to get him new ad copy, unless you make it clear at the very beginning that, hey, this is something that's on you. You should be providing this to me. So that is something that I see, a simple fix that all business owners, advertisers can change almost instantly and start getting better results from their media buyer. Just having that cadence where their media buyer knows what they have to do, and they'll start to see that performance increase, because creative is everything nowadays with Meta ads in TikTok, in YouTube.
It comes down to how can you grow top line revenue or increase bottom line profit. And so that's what I recommend you do, is rather than focus on the ninja hacks and all the ad platforms and optimizations you make in the platform, turn your focus on business, because media buying in business is more about numbers and math than creativity.
Best tips for businesses is really have a case study portion of interviews. A lot of media buyers have results, but sometimes a great offer, great creatives, they are enough to get good results. You don't need to be the best media buyer to get amazing results sometimes, if everything else is amazing, right? If the ad is amazing, if the messaging is amazing, even if you do like poor targeting and poor media buying, you can still crush it, which is kind of surprising, but it's true. So do a case study too. See how the media buyer performs, first under pressure, second in a real life scenario, and you're going to have a way better perspective on whether he's a good fit for you or not, because obviously a good media buyer can make your business, and a bad media buyer can absolutely break your business. So that's very, very, very important.
Ultimately, you just want to learn to operate off of data and not emotion, and tell the correct story and be able to identify the bottleneck, not use your own biases. As far as like, if they're ads that you scripted, you want them to work, you spend more money on them than you should, because you're like wanting to get them to work to prove that you're good at running ads or writing ads, and just all that stuff. So much of it comes down to just the cognitive biases we have in our own head. The better you can clean up your own thinking, just think rationally about stuff and just operate off of what's actually the data is actually showing versus the story that you think it's telling or that you want it to tell, the better you're going to be at media buying, and the more success you're going to have with paid media.
Last piece of advice is set bigger goals. You can literally go from 1K a month to 50K a month in literally 60 days, right? The scaling ability on Meta ads platforms, even TikTok as well, like, is insane. And if you have the risk appetite, have the confidence, have a group that you're involved in that can give you the backing and confidence to scale, you doesn't have to take 5 years. You can literally, I have brands that start at $100 and doing 40K the next month. So really set bigger goals, push yourself harder, because really things can happen so fast.
And that's a wrap. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was quite literally the video that I wish I had for myself years ago when I was grinding it out in the Tai Lopez SMMA trenches. So I hope this helps cut the learning curve for you. And again, these media buyers are all vetted at MediaBuyer.com, and they have a proven track record of results. So if you ever need to hire and grow with a real deal media buyer, you can just go to MediaBuyer.com and sign up on the platform. It's very simple. And if you enjoyed this video, go below and leave a like and subscribe as well if you want to see more videos like this. And also go follow me on X at Mateo1Self. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Talk soon.